Yeah, even though the daylight savings time is usually a pain, I think this has been the least painful one. I
Yeah,
don't know
we're
if
getting
it's
used to this.
I don't know if it's the promise of it ending or it's just like, oh, but it's still been painful, but I mean, I used to be like every single day was just everything was like foobarred and everybody was
Yep. Okay. I think we could just collectively say no to daylight savings time. Um, it is a thing. Like, who says it's real? I don't. Anyway.
I don't know what you're saving.
Yeah, really. It's ancient, ancient. But okay, we're gonna do this one a little bit live. But Tomahawk, you've been watching the charts. This we have had an absolutely insane week.
Yeah, we're getting some pumpage, right?
Yeah, we sure are. You wanna give us a quick show off, or let's. I mean, we can just talk about it. It's just us four because I think that daylight savings time screws this up some too. And people are like, "What time is the tokenomics meeting? Did I miss it?"
Yeah, it's interesting. We got like, um, a bullish move into resistance. Um, it's probably gonna pull back, I would think, unless it pushes through because on shorter time frames it's actually kind of extended. But um, so you can see like this is like the long-term downtrend exponential line. This is a log chart. So this is actually an exponential downtrend that we're trying to break through right now.
Mm-hmm.
More short term kind of flat trend is also 2 trillion in a heartbeat.
Mm.
There's no resistance really in that range.
Wow.
Although I don't really have fibs on this chart, but we can look at it on Bitcoin as well. But total two not as strong. This is a Bitcoin led rally.
Mm-hmm.
Total three also weak, maybe weaker than the ETH chart. Not threatening breakout right now, and looking toppy on stochastics on the daily. So I think we probably do fail to break out here and pull back again. And we can extend this for, gosh, months
Yeah.
because the way the trends are converging around 1 trillion, we could just oscillate here forever and never really choose a direction until boom. Um, so a lot of people don't trade this at all and just wait.
Hmm.
A
Yeah.
lot of people will put a straddle or strangle play where you long the bottom of this pattern and you short the top and keep them both going so that you have a hedge on your portfolio and in both directions basically, and then you just remove the one or let one of them stop out once it takes the direction.
Mm-hmm. Super interesting.
And
We're
all this
just
is
like
algo
stuck to
driven,
this 1 trillion. Yeah, go ahead.
right? And that would be the most painful thing in my mind. And most of this is algo driven, so that's why it's like it just eats up retail traders. Um,
Right. A lot of people are going long and it fails and it falls down and they take losses, take 10% or whatever their stop is. And that's why people stop using stops because it fucks them every time. But stop loss is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I gotcha. I gotcha.
yeah,
Yeah, Bitcoin. I don't want to spend too much time on any one chart here because they're all kind of interesting.
yeah. And
Yeah,
they're
the
all hitting
382.
they're all hitting fibs all the time. That's why I say it's like
Yep,
mostly algo driven, right?
probably right. I mean, even humans read fibs quite a bit. So, but yeah, sure, they're all looking at the same thing. It's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Mm.
Right, the 382 right now. So there's resistance just overhead of Bitcoin. That's another reason I think it doesn't really break sky high just yet. 200 3-day moving average. What is the daily at? So we're above the 200 daily, which is probably why we got that good push through. But the 382 is probably going to give us some resistance. And there's another line here that's an old line probably, but the psychological 30K level would also be a strong resistance, I would think. ETH, not really threatening right now. Once we get into the 1800 territory, then you start to see ETH take off to 2K. But might pull back to this range, and retest the 200, test the uptrend. I see like a ping pong ball in between thing though. If it bounces a bunch of times and then breaks out, we're going sky high. If it breaks down sooner, it's probably less likely it's going to be a strong move. What we really want, like, for a bullish thing to happen would be for Bollinger Bands to really crush down on it, and it stays like right at 1600 for a week.
Interesting.
That's just like different scenarios. What else? What charts you want to look at?
Yeah, let's do a real quick bank chart, and then I think that's a wrap.
Okay. Now we saw some weird things with the bank chart on a smaller liquidity platform. Do you want to talk about that?
Yes.
So this is Uniswap 3, which is where most of our liquidity is, and it's like consistent wedge. Like we're going down, we're treading water some, but then we're going down again, and hasn't really broken out, right? Well, oh look, this one got corrected. It didn't look like this before, but I think what had happened was maybe it was an API issue, and it had jumped up. It had jumped up by 10x. But so that was totally an error. Interesting. So no real news. The steady downtrend, descending triangle. If we break this 40K, 4K Gwei level, then more pain. Big time more pain. So locking TL Bank, hopefully put some support under here. I think we do have good support at this level because we've been around here for a long time. But yeah, we don't want to really make new lows in Bank. That would be bad.
Yeah. I think just the reality of it is that as we continue emissions, we will see. It's inevitable. Like we're gonna see lows over time just because of emissions and unfortunately until we got to get TL Bank and Season Pass and even then
Season Pass is going to have some buy pressure associated, so
right.
It is not a negative thing for sure.
Exactly. And so it's like we start creating a floor with an A. And the introduction of buy pressure, like organizational buy pressure, not just communal or retail buy pressure. And I think that around the Season Pass, so many things matter. But okay, let's take a quick look at all the different the work going on in tokenomics. The big focus right now is really the Tokenomics 1.0, and so honestly, as a side note, from Bankless Consulting and others, like a lot of tokens are trying to solve this kind of like problem. If you're not a DeFi platform, you're a social token. How do you create good economic systems around the token? So people are playing with things like that. At least that's what I'm seeing. I've seen like a big influx at Bankless Consulting of like help, our token won't stop going down. I'm like I understand. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about your system.
You
Um,
did it wrong, bro.
yeah, I mean, hindsight's 2020. Bankless DAO is like we were like, oh, here's the token. And of course, it goes down if we distribute it. That's what's going to happen. It's going to go down. People are going to sell, and that's okay.
No, we thought we could onboard forever.
Right? Exactly. There's
Bull
a
market things.
yeah, right. That's the truth of it, right? Like, um, here's the notes. They're incomplete because I'm going to be filling them out as we go, and so we'll just be. I'm going to do this live because I was trying to fix stuff right before this. So, um, usually I talk about platforms before, but as I think everybody here knows, like we're still in a pause. But just taking a quick look at liquidity and marketplace action. Um, so, um, balancer, we're sitting on 128. And there's a what was Monday? 13th. Somehow there's a gap in our analytics, but whatever. um, but yeah, steady volume 418.
Those are just
Uh,
days that have zero trades, those gaps.
I
So
think
they're
so.
spreading it out so that the timeline is correct. Like there's an equal
Mm,
number of space between days or weeks.
gotcha.
Um, and days that are no trades are just zero bar.
Interesting. Okay. So at least volume in 24 hours of 418. And then looking at the Polygon side, pretty steady actually. 1,000, roughly around $1,000 in volume. And sitting on a pool volume of 45. Or I'm sorry, TVL of 45K. 1K ish. Sushi Swap. How are we doing over there?
So I don't track price on Polygon. Do you, Ernest, or
It's
are you seeing
it's
any kind of
it's
rebalancing?
arbitrage from what I've seen.
So people will take the ARB and move it
Yeah.
back and forth.
Yep. I think there's probably some separation or some margin of change between the two, like L1 and L2. But I think that in the centralized or not centralized exchanges, but what you're tracking, but because you're just tracking L1 bank.
Do we want to get in on that arbitrage
Yes.
opportunity as
Yeah.
a treasury? Do you think?
Yes. Yes, I think so. I I think it not for a profit, but for price equilibrium, it'd probably be important. Hmm.
Will there be some profit associated with it? I mean, it would be marginal, like kind of like our trading. I mean, our market making, right?
Yeah. Well,
Essentially,
and
still market making is
it,
you
exactly.
taking
Yes.
the yeah.
Yeah.
Make a
It's
little in fees, right? Some kind of fee. Is there
yeah.
how does the balancer rewards work with the pools? Is it you are there only balancer rewards if there's like a farm, like an incentive? Um,
Yeah. So my understanding is that it's auto accrued back to the pool, but it's like it's at this APR, so it's terrible. Like it's
yeah.
0.36%. Um. So. Um. Unless they've incentivized it directly, like it auto accrues you. But you know, I'm I think Balancer is super cool, but for our DAO and how we use it, I think Uniswap is a stronger use case. But anyway,
Would it
okay, so SushiSwap, go
would it
ahead.
make sense to have like a different type of pool? You know, like if you had a pool with wrapped Bitcoin, ETH, a couple, a stable, and then like bank, you could have it basically tied to a pool that's more useful. because the only thing people can do is swap bank for ETH. If you could swap bank, you know, if you had like a pool with 7 different tokens in it, you would have, you know, Bitcoin, ETH, couple stables.
So in my opinion, not for us. Sometimes that's useful. The burden of market making is always upon, like, we have to get somebody to market make, and so, you know, that may mean, asking for somebody to provide those assets, and they'd have to believe in bank and the like. But for what we're trying to do, I think, one, we're highly aligned with ETH, and two, creating like, depth below 100,000 in all the different assets, I think creates problems. Um, it's worth looking at, but at outset, in my, like, we're still working on, like what do we need? We need economic infrastructure. We need okay, Sushi Swap is too. Your Oracle guys, come on, what's going on here? Uh, at offset, I think not right now, but I could see into season 8 or season 9 we could look at some of those things. But I still kind of feel like we're working on getting our feet under us really strongly. We've, consolidating to Uniswap,
Is
I think
sushi is
is a
sushi
higher
this
priority.
is sushi the same way as Balancer, where the only way you can get sushi tokens is if you're providing incentives to your pool?
Yeah, it's the 2020 pool style. Or I'm sorry, not 2020, 50/50.
Because I like doing things just for earning, like, BAL tokens or sushi tokens long term. Personally, I don't mind. I mean, under 1% sucks, but I'm for earning, being in DeFi products and earning those tokens.
Sure.
But if you have to provide, you know, um, a farm or an incentive to do it, I'm not really,
Yeah, exactly.
then Uniswap just is the best option. So I don't
And
know.
that's where I really think it lands is, or maybe I'm the problem. Yeah.
And then Aave is different than sushi and stuff, right? Like,
You got it. Yes, that's a lending platform.
that's completely different. Okay.
Completely different. That's another core primitive of financial. It's not banking, but it's like financial services. Market making is actually kind of a sophisticated financial service, and automated market makers everybody knows about because they're actually a novelty in the market making, like, technology space. They're new, and so market making is uh, adapting to some of those things. But it's like, otherwise, there's, like, order book market making. Um, uh, but it was actually really interesting. I was talking with a hedge fund manager, um, who I was like, where do I learn about more market making strategies and the like? And he's like, they're intentionally kept obscure. Like,
Hmm.
I was like, do you have any books? And he's like, no.
It's
You
called
like, it's still,
take your
it's,
money with math.
well, right. It's kind of like the best way to learn how to do some of that stuff is go join a financial institution that knows how to do it.
Hmm.
Which I thought was kind of interesting, but also, reinforces that finance can only be a zero sum game at times, um, which is a bummer. I gotta, that's our mission to fix.
What you need to find are the defectors of that system. So, we should highly value anyone that comes from that realm and use their expertise.
Yeah, I see you, Tessa. Speaking of Tomahawk, Tessa, you used to, right?
Yeah, so my background is in quantitative and prop trading, but the fund I used to manage was a market neutral. Yep.
There you go. Yeah, I spent last ETH Denver annoying Tessa with questions that she's like, this is like 101, duh. I'm like, not for me. This is really good.
No, it wasn't like that. No, it was like ask away. I'm free to
Yeah,
help.
no, yeah. Tessa was super helpful, super insightful, and very interesting, and had like quant trading strategies that I was like, wow, that's so cool, like Flash Boys kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, the high frequency stories I can share is like really ridiculous. I just noticed Law Panda is here. So Law Panda I invited because we had that question from last week about if there's any legal repercussions if the Treasury working group or Treasury Asset Management working group kind of spun up and it took off. So Law Panda, we're gonna bombard you with some questions if you don't mind, and none of it is legal advice. We understand.
Not financial advice, not legal advice.
And
Just
That's right.